And welcome to another episode of the Digital Ramble. And thank you for joining us. Today's sponsors are Patreon. Every month, the Digital Ramble will receive a regular source of income from supporters who've pledged through Patreon. Having your ongoing support means we spend less time thinking about business and more time creating content for you.
Customized, based in the UK, are also sponsors of the Digital Ramble. To learn more about Customized, go check out their website and find out about their all set up home tech services.
Also sponsoring the Digital Ramble is Digital Delight, and making holiday tech shopping easy for you this month. On their website at digitaldelight.com/shop, you can find 6 must-haves to turn your basic home into a smart home. So get on over there to digitaldelight.com/shop and find something special for your family. What's happening, Gamble? How you doing, brother?
Hey JJ, I finally got to my familiar surroundings of my office. I'm delighted to have a solid connection this week with you.
Oh man, it's been a fantastic week. Like always, we're just in the field trying to find solutions for homeowners and small businesses that can, add value to what they're trying to do there at their home by using technology.
That's right, and at this time of year, it's all hands on deck. We've, as always, and everyone involved in our industry, we see a huge spike in work at this time of year. Deadlines loom ever closer on the people moving into new homes, but also lots of new inquiries, people needing some tech services before that holiday deadline. And I was pulled in on site today, got my hands dirty, cutting drywall, making a mess, but pulling in cables for a new audio system going into a bathroom and dressing room for a customer.
Pulling cables. What technology do you use to pull cables?
I've actually had the assistance of a trusted tool, one I've used for many years, and that's my cable tang. I've got one of the original version 1 cable tangs that good friend of ours, Tom Shelbourne, he's the inventor of that, and it's been so well used. It's battered and bruised, and it's got bits of tape, and it's scuffed, but it still does the job. And there's some awesome footage of the cable tang being used in our installation today over on Instagram.
I'm going to have to get me one of those cable tongues. Tom, shoot me a cable tongue. I'd love to put it in the field and get it to work and help us, make some money for our business. It's all about the tools in our business, no doubt about it. And speaking about tools, we're kind of going off topic today. I mean, we're talking about something that's kind of way out of our atmosphere of normal topics. And today, Gamble, we're talking NASA and InSight lander.
That's right. We're going out of this planet, out of this world. We're heading for a new planet, the red planet. We're off to Mars today. We're going to talk about the InSight project and the journey that this craft has had, and the work that it's going to be doing, and some of the tech behind it, but without being too techy. We're not space nerds, we're not NASA geeks, but it's something that's captivated the audience, the worldwide audience watching the progress of this. It's just landed a few days ago. And I know both of us, our families, have tracked it on. It's been a good one to watch with the kids. We've really enjoyed seeing the progress.
Yeah, and as a kid, I'd go camping or just step outside my house. And this past weekend, I was out at the farm. And at night, I stepped out. I was getting ready to get my truck, and I looked up. And the stars, and still it grabs me. You look up there and you're like, wow, what is going on up there? It's just endless and endless. And so NASA, they launched the InSight lander. And it's exactly that. It lands on Mars. And last week, right after our show, the InSight actually landed on Mars. And so the mission for InSight, it's going to land in this area called the Elysium Planitia, and I hope I got that.
Well done.
Thank you very much. And what that is, what that area, the Elysium Planitia, guys, I apologize. Please work with me here as I try to get these words out that are not necessarily, they're foreign to me. And what that is this an area on Mars, and it's a flat area that's close to the equator that they're going to, try to drill down into the crust of Mars to find out what's below, because previous to the InSight, they've dropped landers on there to take analysis of the surface of Mars as well as the air quality, but now they're going in to the planet. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, this craft's going to be on the planet for up to 2 years, and that exploration of the interior of the planet is its mission. And that probe, that heat probe it's called, is going to slowly but surely start to penetrate the surface and go down as deep as 5 meters. That's what they're hoping. And all the time, every increment of the drilling period, it's extracting data, temperature, moisture levels, material types that it's encountering, and it's vital information primarily for what can we extract from this planet one day. I think there's mining aspirations. A lot of businesses have got hopes to set up new ventures there in the not too distant future, by the sounds of things. So it's a real exploration of that planet below the surface.
So it took I want to say it took 6 to 7 months from its launch, and it launched out of California on May the 5th. And this is the first launch, I believe, they had for Mars out of California. And what I read that was really interesting, why did they launch it from California this time, is because whenever the Earth is rotating, it gives it that extra thrust. So not only are they using the rocket engines, but they're using the Earth to throw the rocket and give it that extra oomph that it needs to get it up and out of the Earth's atmosphere, which I thought was pretty interesting. Kids, stay in school, study some math. If you're in NASA, you need to know those types of things. But whenever they hurled this thing up into space, Gamble, it's going 6,200 miles an hour, or for you guys over there, that's 10,000 kilometers per hour.
Well, it needs, you said it did it in around 6 months. It did have to travel over 33 million miles to get there. So it needed to pick up a bit of speed to reduce that journey time. Just those figures alone, still as a 39-year-old person, I'm still staggered that this is the kind of technology and the distances that are having to be covered. And what enables that is just a wow when you go into the numbers.
No doubt. I know how hard it is just to install a voice a video doorbell, much less.
I've felt like launching one of them before.
You felt like launching a video. I have too, brother. Now, whenever this guy is approaching, whenever the InSight starts to approach, and it started its approach, they have to set it up like 60 days is like the approach time. And so they start the approach, and on the way, when InSight is on its way, it's got to make like 6 path adjustments to make sure that they hit the Elysium Planitia in the right spot. And so they got to make 6 adjustments as it's traveling 6,200 miles an hour to make sure that they hit the spot. And they start adjusting for the approach 60 days out.
Yeah, it's the planning behind it. You just it's got to be so accurate. It's crucial that it landed on this specific spot on the planet. It's one of the smoothest areas. And plus it was that proximity to the equator to get that consistent solar power. to get that, because the craft itself runs on two solar panels on it, and enables it to continue with its work every day and keep it charged. And I know the solar power that it's generating and collecting is breaking records. I know they've sent crafts to Mars before, and one of the failures was always keeping this device powered, these crafts powered. And early indications are this is going to perform and hopefully last for its period that it's going to be there for, because they've got the solar technology correct this time.
Yeah, and so the lander, it plunges through the thin Martian atmosphere, and it's just fire. So they face the heat shield towards the planet, and it's like fire hot coming through that atmosphere. And then it uses a special parachute to slow its descent, through that Martian atmosphere, and for it to slowly and gently and gracefully land on the surface. I can't imagine going from 6,200 miles an hour to a dead stop, and you're controlling it remotely from 33.9 million miles away.
Well, it's crucial that how it lands, will be of the benefit of the craft, that it's going to be able to perform its task. Then, if you get that wrong, and you're risking total damage, catastrophe, you've completely screwed up the whole thing, or some minor damage to it prevents it even, doing some of the tasks they wanted it to do, or it may not last the period of time that it's meant to be on the planet. So, big respect to the drivers of the craft, 33 million miles of it.
And so once the InSight lander lands, the first thing it does is it lets the dust settle, right? And then the solar panels come out the side and then open up and starts collecting juice, for the craft, which is pretty cool. It also does like health indicators, make sure that, hey, are we still, online? Are all the instruments that are on board, are we still functioning? And so that's the second thing that it's doing. It also takes images of its landing area and its general proximity right below it, because it's got a couple of other things that it's going to be deploying, to sense the Martian, I don't know, Mars, the Martian environment, the area that it has landed in.
Yeah, it's I'm still staggered by how this information gets back to us. They're able to already extract data from this, and know how much power that it's collecting in the solar panels, and that how much work that will enable it to do, to perform its tasks. It's I struggle to set up VoIP phones for customers sometimes. I'm in a house. How are these guys keeping in touch with the work that it's doing? It's just staggering. And there's some amazing websites out there to keep track of the progress of the craft.
Yeah, the website that we're using for our research is mars.nasa.gov/insight. And so anybody can type that in and take a look and review exactly what we're talking about. We'll also put that down in our description of where we're getting our information from. One cool thing about living here in the Houston area is just right down the road, we got NASA's Johnson Space Center just right down the street from us. Yeah. And we've actually done technology solutions for astronauts. And talk about making yourself feel good, is going into an astronaut's home and putting together a system that they felt like they couldn't do themselves. Talk about a cool buzz of doing what we do, and then hearing experiences of what they've experienced through their journey of working with NASA. Now, back to the InSight. So one thing that they're testing in the core of the mission is in in the crust, or in the surface of Mars. And they've got a couple of sensors. They got this one sensor that they put out there that's going to measure seismic activity, and the shifting, like we call them earthquakes. And it was interesting enough for me to learn that they call them Marsquakes up there.
I guess say what you see. Yeah.
I guess so, and I guess you can apply quakes to different planets.
I know they've been measuring moonquakes since early crafts for landing on the moon. That was something that was one of a lot of the data they've been gathering there is the shifts in the patterns of the moon. So they're doing exactly the same, using the same technology and gathering that data from Mars.
Yeah, they've got this heat probe that they sit out there. And this heat probe also has like this nail that they're hammering into the crust of Mars, and it descends about 19 and a half inches. It descends 19 and a half inches per day, and it's going to go, let me see here, where's it says, and it's going to do it for 40 days. It's going to be 16 feet deep in the ground. And I'm wondering if it's like just a little hammer like this, like tick, 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 or if they actually have a big, that'd be interesting to see. How do they get this thing 16 feet down in the ground? And then what happens if you hit a rock?
I know. It's what keeps it on track, on course. Even just drilling into a big stone wall, you hit something that sends you off course, and it's the old who's the most skillful installer trying to line up that hole from the outside of the house that you wanted to end up in the exact position on the inside. It takes a lot of skill, and if you hit something on the way in, then it could make a big mess on the inside of the house. So the accuracy and the technology behind these tools and instruments they've added to the craft is incredible. It really is. And just again, go and learn more about this. With your kids, with your family, or on your own. The NASA website. There's so much dedicated to this, and all the major news channels have some good vlogs and YouTube videos on this subject.
Absolutely. And so I was rereading what I read earlier, Gamble, and so it hammers for 4 hours at a time. And every 19 and a half inches, it generates a pulse of heat. So I think down, I don't know if it's the entire spike or if it's down at the very tip, it generates heat. And the heat probe measures the heat that little probe is, that the little nail is generating, to see how much heat is generated through the crust of Mars. It just blows my mind thinking about how they're doing this. And how big is this hammer? I want to know what the size of this hammer looks like.
So all these things can be discovered. I'm sure there's lots of resources on this. I'm going to speak to my son and see if it's something they're discussing at school. They should be. I really hope that, because there was a lot of press attention and school attention to when we had a British astronaut went up, Tim Peake, and the schools knew all about this mission, by Tim Peake to the International Space Station. And I hope that they're picking up on this news story and the work that's going on on this InSight lander.
Now, the other thing that's a first for this mission is they have a arm, and so this arm it's kind of like the claw at the amusement park, and it's got a claw on it, so it can actually pick things up and place them in their certain place. Except this claw is not loose. This claw actually works and holds on to stuff, so nothing is dropped in the wrong spot. But yeah, this arm is a first for NASA to deploy and to use. That'll be really interesting to see what this guy picks up too.
Yeah, you just go. you can go to town really on the amount of work that this thing's doing. So what else are they going to find there? Is this going to give us the opportunity for us to maybe start mining there, to potentially send people there? We'll see. I know a lot of people have got their eyes on the assets of Mars.
Yeah, I think that the reason that they're doing is it's going to help them understand how planets were created, and give them more insight on life, and was Mars ever, did it ever have water on the surface? Actually it did. I think we've already found that one out. But they're digging even deeper, literally, to see how far back they can go and more answers that they can extract from Mars.
So I think we're going to see more of this. I think there's already rumors of private individuals investing in almost the real estate of the moon. So they're starting to look at the moon as an asset that can be mined and get more data from there, so that we can start preparations for sending things to the moon, people to the moon, and more crafts to the moon with private funding.
I just want to see what's on the other side of the moon, on the dark side. Let's see what's over there. Hey, so one thing also that I read is that they use this camera called the HiRISE, which stands for High Resolution Imaging Science Experiment. And it's a super high resolution camera that orbits Mars and takes these incredibly high resolution images, and that's how they were able to find, this area, Elysium Planitia, to land. They had over 22 different areas marked out, but with the help of the high-res orbiter, they were able to find the perfect spot to land InSight. So I found that to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think we've given a lot of insights into InSight today, and going back to the places where we've discovered a lot of the information about it. In NASA website is just full of it, but also the local news channels that cover this, whether it's technology news. I know I've found the CNET website to be very good as well for videos and footage of what this craft is up to on a daily basis.
Well, man, I appreciate you talking to me about InSight. I know it's way off topic, but it's something that I find fascinating, and I think a lot more people find it fascinating as well. And it's great to hear kids talk about it. I really enjoy hearing adults talk about it, because it's kind of, it takes you somewhere else out of the normal. And like I said, whenever we started the conversation, I love walking outside at night, looking up at the stars and saying, wow, what else is out there? And NASA is doing a really good job of trying to help provide that information. And what else can we do with space? And where did we come from?
You're right.
So, hey, man, do you have a Gamble Ramble today? Are you going to drop some ramble on us?
I think so. It'll be, continuing that regular thread with Digital Ramble, providing a Gamble Ramble one week and Cannon Fire the next week. So this week we're back to Gamble Ramble, and it kind of comes from some work we've been doing in the last couple of weeks, but it's something that crops up all the time in our line of work. And it's a real frustration when you work in buildings, or you're asked to come into a home to do a survey or have a look round, and there is no preparation for wiring at all in the home. The basics have not been provided in the building, and it's a big frustration because our industry is always promoting the benefits of wiring for technology, and it's hammered home so often to the building industry, the design industry, and time again it's omitted. And this week we went into a new construction project, very high-end property, a lot of money spent on it, and customer was asking for services like music and television, temperature control, motorized shades for window treatment, and I continually just had to say, no, you can't have that. No, you can't have that either. And the look on their face, they felt so confused that, well, I want this. And I was like, well, you haven't prepared for this. First of all, you brought me in very, very late to your project. I would always advise you bring in your home technology professional as early as possible, right back at design stage if that's possible. Bring us in very, very early. Or at the stage when you're starting to run wires for light switches and power sockets, TV outlets, that's when we need to be part of the project. But to bring us in at the end and then show us no wiring preparation, what do you expect to happen? Two things are going to happen. Either you're not going to have it, or you're going to have a less performing system. So you might have some kind of wireless solution, or you might have the aesthetics ruined because you've got to have things on show like power supplies and surface mounted cables, or you're going to have to make a lot of mess to get these wires in. And the mess is soul destroying to these people, especially when it's towards the end of a finished project. Cutting holes in the walls like we had to do today. They wanted music in their bathroom. They'd said it to their electrical contractor and their builder, and they said, yeah, it's all wireless. You can install them anytime. And it just wasn't true. We had to cut holes in the wall, drill big holes in the ceiling to get the speakers installed, and then find a location for the music system that just wasn't the right place for it. We're having to put stuff in the dressing room wardrobes. So it's just very disruptive and very frustrating for the customer, but also for the professionals that are having to install this, that again, they were brought in far too late for something that the customer did want. So get your professional on board early, at design stage, at the stage when you're running cables at the latest, and work with them to come up with what you want in your home.
Yeah, that's been one of the challenges, Gamble, and I'm going to just add to that, is trying to communicate the importance of making sure that your house is prepared for technology. Technology is as essential as plumbing and electrical and tile, that you have and you plan for in your home. And unfortunately, a lot of new home builders, or new homeowners, or they're building a new home or they're remodeling a home, we're the last guys that they think of. It's an afterthought. And so I'm going to do a better job myself of communicating the need and the why through our social post of getting us in early on the job to help reduce some of these afterthought pains, that clients are having. I went to a high rise this past week and saw the exact same thing. Clients almost ready to button everything up, and they're like, I'd like to do this and that, and we can absolutely do that, but unfortunately we have to go backwards a couple of steps in order to go forwards. And like you said, that can be very painful and discouraging to homeowners that absolutely need to have technology in their home. So yeah, man, good ramble on that, and need to work on getting the word out of the importance of prepping your home for tech on the front side and not being an afterthought.
Well, there's a whole episode there on that one itself. But next week we're going to stay in the holiday mood, and we're going to talk about automating and voice controlling holiday tech. So thinking along the lines of outdoor lighting, Christmas tree lighting, music, getting your sound system in order, creating playlists on your music systems, making sure you're your schedules are right on your heating and your security, and it's aware of you being home or away, because at this time of year people leave the home for periods to go and visit family members, or they're away for the holidays. So just preparing your home for the nice, entertaining and fun stuff like lighting and music and television, but also some of the practical benefits of automating your home for heating, security and features like that.
Cool. Mike, would you please bring the music back in? Thank you, sir. I want to say thank you to Mike for working the knobs for us back there in the sliders today. And also, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, as well as the people who support this show on a monthly basis. If you would be so kind to jump over to our Patreon page, and you can search it at The Digital Ramble. The Patreon, every month, The Digital Ramble will receive a regular source of income from supporters who've pledged through Patreon. Having your ongoing support means we spend less time thinking about business and more time creating content for you.
Customized are proud sponsors of The Digital Ramble. And if you want to learn more about Customized, you can go to their website at customized.uk.com and check out their all set up home tech services.
And thank you to our sponsor, Digital Delight, who's making holiday tech shopping easy. Check out their website at digitaldelight.com/shop, where they are featuring 6 must-haves to turn your basic home into a smart home. And with that, Gamble, I will see you next week on the Digital Ramble, and you have a fantastic week, brother.
Thank you, JJ. All the best.
All the best.